everyone, I'm Cici Ma, the Managing Director of Grow and Sell Your Biz and the host of the Capital Raising Show. So by interviewing, my hope is that by showcasing successful capital raises, you will understand how and where to raise capital and avoid making the same mistakes others have. We're very lucky here to have on the show today the founder and CEO of Parent TV, Sam Jockel. Sam, thanks so much for coming on to the Capital Raising Show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's good to be here. It's always these are always very interesting conversations.
Thank you for coming. So first off, could you please give us a 30-second intro about Parent TV?
Yeah, sure. So Parent TV, think of it a bit like Netflix for parenting and educator resources.
Right.
So we've brought together some of the world and Australia's leading parenting educators and filmed just in now the thousands of kind of 2 to 5 minute videos, just answering the questions that parents and educators are asking.
Okay.
We mostly exist to support the people who support parents. So parents are our end game and they're who consume our content and who we're helping. But what we know is that they get helped the most through a person, which is often a teacher, an educator, a counsellor, GP.
Yep.
And we help support them with some of the best information we can to support the parents in their care.
Wow, that's amazing. I wish I had you when I was, bringing up my children. This was 20 odd years ago. I didn't have Parent TV back then. Had to, resort to a lot of books and things like that. Yeah. So how did COVID-19 impact your business?
Yeah, like in a way, I think COVID has been good for our business, but it hasn't been easy personally, but it's been good for business in terms of, I guess we were on a, we're online, so that's a tick. And we're in wellbeing, that's a tick. But I guess all the systems and processes and structures that we'd built around our business were based still very much because we were still in our early days on in-person events. So having that taken away from us, like we did a lot of conferences and we hosted a lot of events and that was kind of big for us in our early days to get kind of brand recognition and our name out there, even though we were online.
Yeah.
I think online is such a busy space, particularly in parenting, that it's hard to get cut through. So even when you are like a online business and you understand that space, because I've been doing digital marketing for, 13 years, it's just a really challenging space to start. I think once you have like brand recognition. So to have that kind of ripped out straight away and for us to have to go like fully online, we were fortunate that, we'd been around for long enough, people knew who we were, but we had to just like pivot a bit and shift like all of the plans that we'd made really quickly, which we did do, to then, and now it's actually like what it did for us was really focus us and make us super intentional. Right. And that's actually what we needed. So I'm grateful for that. Pre that, we were probably just having a bit of fun. Like we were serious about what we were doing, but there were just more options. And sometimes when there's more options, you do the stuff that you like doing. When COVID hit, that got stripped away. And we were forced to have to do the things that were hard and maybe we hadn't really done before. And now I'm really grateful for that. But it's definitely been, I've learned a lot. It's been challenging, but I believe we're in the best place we've ever been as a result of it.
That's great. That's great to hear. Oh, there's a bit of echo. Can you hear that? No, that's fine. No, it's okay. Yeah, there was just a little bit of echo from my end. So, so did you have to do like online events instead of your physical events, or is it still you just shoot those videos?
We're actually just starting to do online events now. So it's been 6, 7, 8 months and we're really starting to ramp that up now. In the early days, I would say it was more about us it was more about being a Band-Aid to a really tragic situation that was unfolding and working out how we could help people in the short term, which we were able to do. So just getting resources to people really quickly when things were unfolding to give like in moment support. So we did that. And we responded quite quickly. And we had created over 50 videos solely on coronavirus and how to support parents, support their kids, and how to support school communities, and got those out. But it's only really just now that we have the full strategy and the full understanding of what has happened has landed on us. And our new vision for what the future looks like is becoming really clear, and we're starting to put those pieces together. And it's really exciting, actually. So yeah, those initial days were just like gut instinct, reaction, pivoting, like, what do we have right now that can just show up and help? Let's do that. We did that. Then we kind of all were exhausted because that was hectic. And then we went, okay, well, what next? What does this actually look like for the next, you know, for our future? And we have a plan around that now. So we're just in the middle of executing that.
Sounds good. Yeah, most businesses are like that. They go through that process as well. Yeah. So I guess this is the capital raising show. So for our listeners, maybe we could focus on your successful capital raises today, and all your experiences of you know, that you mentioned as well. So I think I was looking at some history in terms of what sort of raises you've done. It appears that you've done a pre-seed raise of around $200,000, and then you have another round which is like you call it the seed round of about 750,000. So maybe we could take one of them, you know, each at a time. So at the time of your pre-seed round, what did you have any revenue back then when you did it? No,
I didn't even have a product. I just had an idea.
So it's
parenting,
right.
So I raised that on the back of just the idea. Excellent. I mean, the idea is a big idea, and it probably would have been impossible for it to have existed without having raised money first, because we were building platform. I mean, I'm a single female founder with 3 children who live in Redcliffe, who was running her own business and doing this on the side. So, you know, I wasn't some cashed up kind of like, oh, I've got the money just sitting there and all the time in the world, and I'm just going to make that happen. Like, it was all of the odds were pretty much stacked against me.
That's right.
The only thing that I had, and now I realize is actually one of the most important things, is a history.
So because of what you did with the LD mums, was it? LD mums?
Yeah, and school mums. So I had a solid 10 years of execution. So like execution is everything in this game. Like, and you can have all the money in the world, but if you can't execute, it doesn't matter. And then you see people that don't have much money at all, but they can execute, and they're just good with knowing where to focus and doing a lot with a little. And so because of my history, I guess I had, a background in continuous execution and things that I'd done. So when I went to raise, like, I didn't know this at the time, but now I know it, now that I'm like,
that's right. So
that's what was the basis of that happening.
So you think that's why investors invested in, they basically invested in you, the person, one who can actually take it forward. So how long did it actually take you to raise for that first?
Well, my story is ridiculous. So this is not normal. So sometimes I don't like to tell people this story, because I think, please do not expect that this is going to happen to you. But because it's not common.
Okay.
But I accidentally called the wrong person on the phone, who was an old boss.
That's right. So you can't just accidentally call people on the phone.
No, I legitimately accidentally called Alex. And I was like, Alex, I've called the wrong Alex, but how the bloody hell are you? So here's a lesson in just being nice to people, right? So the lesson for me is just always be nice to people. And so we had a chat. And he was like, good, Sam, like, how are you? And we ended up having this big chat. And he's like, what are you up to these days? I said, well, actually, like, I'm doing this thing called Parent TV. And we just got chatting. And he just said, are you looking for funding? And I'm like, And like, I wasn't like, I'd been doing this startup course. I wasn't at a point where I was actively seeking it, but I knew like it was coming, and so I just was like, well, yeah, that is the plan.
Yeah.
And then he said, Graham, who was his boss. So he was my kind of boss, and then he was his boss.
Yeah.
Who is the guy who owns all the companies and is very successful. He goes, I reckon Graham would really be interested in what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
And then he's like, I'm in Melbourne next week, because Alex lives in Brisbane with me. Why don't you fly to Melbourne next week and come and pitch Graham? I've got a meeting with him. I can just schedule it in. And I was like, sure. And then I was like, looks like I'm going to Melbourne next week. I guess I need a pitch deck. Like, I didn't even have that. And so we literally, like, within a week, like, put a pitch deck together. I knew what it was, but I wasn't at the point where I was like full pitching anything yet.
Yeah.
And I had been paying to have a mock-up prototype build of what Parent TV would look and feel like. So that was like a $10,000 expense that I took on. That was like the vision of an experience of what it would be, but it wasn't built yet, but it felt like it was.
Yeah.
And I just called the people building that, and I said, hey, I need you guys to like have that done by like next week.
Yeah.
And so I put some stuff together. I don't know. I walked into that meeting, like literally that mock-up, like the final bit landed on my phone in an app like 5 minutes before I walked into that meeting.
Wow.
And then I walked out like 2 hours later with like $200,000. Like literally that is what happened. And then I just started.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's an amazing story. Yes, I guess you can't count on that to happen.
No, it's not normal.
Yeah.
But what is normal about it is that Graham was in my network. So he was like, he's the founder. He was the founder of The Body Shop in Australia, Big Issue magazine. Yeah. I worked for his foundation, the Wise Foundation, like for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But I never met Graham, but he had heard about me, and Alex, who worked with him, like knew me really well, and he vouched for me. Like, maybe that's what I'm learning. Like,
networks.
Ultimately, in the early days, it's about networks and relationships.
Yeah.
So that's what you've got to tap into if you want to get money early on. You're not going to get it from someone that doesn't know you. Like, no one's just giving you like hundreds of thousands of dollars without knowing you and having, if you don't have anything and you have no evidence that your idea is actually even going to work, it doesn't matter how good it is.
Yes. And that's why that round is normally called the family and friends round.
Friends round,
Yeah.
I was just bizarrely kind of like, it was in the context kind of, it's like more friend than family, but old boss person that knows you but doesn't know you, but people can vouch for you and that person trusts those people. Yeah. But he also became the person who continued to give us money after that initial seed round as well. Yeah.
No, understand. Yeah, that's pretty great. So I guess what did you have any learning from that process? Or
so I think like just being prepared obviously is always a good thing. Like having that mock-up. So to get to that point of pitching, like I spent personally probably $15,000 I think of my money in preparation to pitch an idea to get money. So it was my time that I put into the idea and then I invested in that money. So lots of people wouldn't do that. Like that's a lot of money for people to invest in. I didn't invest in the product. I didn't invest in the MVP. I invested in things that I would need to give me a solid pitch to someone because I knew I would need more money. And they knew that I was serious because I was prepared to put some of skin in the game. And not just that, like it was the time. I had another business that I had to exit, and you know that cost $50,000. So there was like stuff going on there that was directly related to that, plus this money. So the story that I came to them with and the passion that I came to them with was very real. And my behaviors leading up to that had showed I'm really serious about this. So if you are interested, you can trust that this isn't just like, oh, I've got this fun idea about doing this thing and maybe someone's just going to give me like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it was like,
Yeah.
But like sometimes when I see people, I'm like, do you know what it means to ask someone for that much money and they give it to you? Like,
Yeah.
you have to be dead really, like you have to have proven that you're invested in, like, it's cost you something.
That's right. Yeah.
Because if it hasn't cost you anything proper and you're asking someone for it to cost them, they'll just be like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Why should I give you all this money if you're not even prepared to like invest in your own idea fully?
Very true. Very true.
Want someone else to take all that risk.
Very
true though, like you have to get real.
Yeah.
And that's why I think in my story sometimes, like I'm very invested in what I do, and there's a very clear history of what that's cost me to get here.
Yeah.
And people like that.
Yeah. And I think, you know, the fact that you're a great storyteller, that really helps. Because there's nothing worse than someone just doing a pitch deck, you know? Like,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yes,
being a
story
go with it. Yeah. So that's great. So moving on to the seed round. This is the $750,000 seed round. And I understand there are some stories behind that as well. So
yeah.
Did you have any revenue by the time you went out with the seed round?
Yeah, we did. So by the time, like it wasn't massive, but there was enough traction there to say, yeah, there's something here, and we just needed more money to keep funding that. And we'd done a lot of 200,000. So we built the platform, filmed like 200 videos. We'd launched. We had like maybe 4 or 5 schools using it, and I don't know, probably a couple hundred parents. And there was enough there to go, okay. And I pretty much had nearly done it all on my own.
Right. Yeah.
With like consultants and dev teams and stuff. So I couldn't employ full-time staff at that point. So I just had to like run it like I was a project manager. I was pretty much just project managing the whole thing. Because I didn't have any co-founders. So it got to the point where it was like, there's enough that's happened here that the advice I got was to try and raise, like to do a proper, to get on some stuff, I guess. So that actually, so we went on the journey of raising. That probably was like a year of understanding what that even is, what term sheets are. Like there was so much involved. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what investing was. I didn't know what preference shares was. I didn't know anything. So I had to learn a lot. I ended up getting to a point where I had secured kind of like $1.2 million. We're about a week out from everyone signing the kind of term sheets and that all being finalized when that round fell through, based on just one of the lead investors just having some personal circumstances unfold that were really unfortunate. Had nothing to do with Parent TV, but it was what it was. Everybody lost confidence, which is what happens because at this point it's just all about confidence. And so overnight, like a year of my life kind of flashed before my eyes, and we lost, like, I lost that, which was all the plans of what we were planning. And that was really traumatic.
Yeah, I can imagine. So then you rose from that. You then went on to raise. So how did that happen?
So out of that, like, it was pretty devastating in a way, and it was really hard to explain. Like, and my sense was that people looking on could have interpreted what happened with that there was actually something wrong with our idea in our business, that the people lost confidence in. And if it was up to me to say that wasn't the case, no one's going to believe that, because of course you're going to say that as the founder. So I was pretty conflicted and overwhelmed with lots of feelings around what was happening. So I decided to write the story of what happened in an article.
I
it wasn't
amazing story. It wasn't written as well. Sorry.
It wasn't so much. No, that's okay. It wasn't so much about the specifics of what actually happened moment to moment. There was bits of that. It was more the story of when you lose something you've worked so hard for, and you have to face that. What does that feel like? And I wrote about that, and then I published it, And then like Smart Company read it and they asked if they could put it on the front page of their site. So it ended up being published on there. And then it was spread far and wide. It was a very big vulnerability piece. And what happened during that time was, I guess I gave people a lens to understand the story through.
Yeah, that's right.
And instead of them looking at it going, what's wrong with parent TV? It was more like, wow, I know when something like that's happened to me, how hard that is. And wow, that someone has been able to articulate that, not just for myself, but for everyone who's ever had a loss like that. And so people ended up reaching out to me, being like real nice and saying like, how can we help? And so I kind of say like I lost these like few investors in that moment in time, but I kind of gained an army out of like it. But I had to take action. Like that's the one thing I'll say, like that, like in that moment, which was so incredibly challenging, like one of the most challenging times of my life, you just always have a choice. Like, what do you do? Do I just like go into a corner and cry myself to sleep every night and just not have a plan, or I just have to change the game plan? And if you do nothing, you die. Like I kind of talk about being in a startup, like playing a video game. And everything's there to kill you and you have to get to the end. And then you get to the end, you think, yes, I got to the end of that level. And then you're just on another level where like there's more complicated pieces that are all designed to try and make you die. The moment you stop playing, the moment you stand still, you die. And sometimes you make a move and you die, but you go back to the start and then you just go again and you keep going until you get through that level. And then, but if you stop playing, you die. So it was like, do I stop playing? Or do I do something? And that's just what I did. I just did what I was like, you know what? I don't know what to do. And then one night I sat on my couch and I was like, I'm just going to tell this story, because it felt like someone dying, and it felt like someone had died. And so the next like weeks of my life, I had to keep telling people that person had died, the letters coming, and you had to keep like telling. And I was like, I can't keep telling the story. Like I'm exhausted. And so I just did it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell the story. I'm going to tell it en masse. I'm going to do it in a really respectful way. I wasn't angry at anyone. I was just really upset because it was like, it was just a devastating thing to happen and really unfortunate. So it was out of that my investor from initially was like, I guess he saw how I continued to behave.
The resilience.
And he just went, you know what, Sam, this is insane and none of that was your fault. I'm just going to give you more money to keep going on one condition. That you stop trying to raise capital and you focus all your attention on raising revenue. Because I guarantee you, you don't waste your time doing that and you spend your time doing this, you're going to find that you get the same amount of money and own your business.
That's right.
Then give it away.
Revenue is always better than capital.
So, but I needed some sense of, like, he did give us some security to be able to do that. And so we did. And funnily enough, like within 6 months of him giving that money, like we've landed, you know, an ARR deal for the next 3 years, which was as much as what that investment was. And it's in revenue, like with one of the largest childcare centre providers in Australia. So, you know, he was right. But if I had to continue to spend all my time trying to like convince people to give me money, like, but that's revenue. That's a business. Like it built our business. But I tell you, it's like time consuming, like having, like we're dabbling now in raising a Series A. I spent about 2 weeks talking to people and realized straight up, nope, not right now. Just after a few conversations, and I shut it off. Because you keep that on and you start to spend your time and your meetings and your thinking all on that. Because the problem is, and this is what I found, when you go and start talking to certain people about raising capital, they start to tell you what they want to see in your business for them to give you money. And you start thinking about that and you start making decisions in your business based on what that person wants to see.
Yeah. And there are,
but if you're grown up enough, you're like, no, you don't understand our business. You need to hear what we have to say. And you start doing things you shouldn't be doing to tick someone else's box, and it messes your business up. Like, you have to be at a point where you are strong enough to say, this is our business. This is the opportunity. You join us. Or we'll find someone that will. And if you can't see it, that's okay. But if you start building your business around what some random person says to you, who wants to start giving you advice, because you ask them, like, would you invest? And they're like, yeah, but I want to see this, this, and this, when they don't even know your business. And then you get confused and start doing what they say. And then it just fully messes your business up because you actually know it better than anyone else. Like, that's what happens, because everyone wants to have an opinion and be the hero and want to tell you what to do because somehow they know. Because the whole game of being an entrepreneur is about being right. And everyone wants to believe that they're right. And that's all we have. This ingrained, insane belief that we're right. And that's what keeps us going. But everyone you're surrounded with also has that belief, because that's what you need. So you have to know you are so right, because everyone else is going to tell you that they're right. And it just depends. Like, once you just get into that investor world, it just gets messed up if you can't be so 100% clear about how right you are. So I knew we couldn't show it as clear as I wanted. I knew I was right about what we needed, but I couldn't show it clearly enough to someone yet. And they were saying, what about this? What about this? I want to see this. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. But I couldn't prove that they were wrong yet. So we needed to go back and do the work to come back and say, otherwise I would just fight with them. Or I would start to get insecure and be like, oh, they're never going to get us money. Let's just do what they say. And then just stuff the business up. Yeah. Because I wasn't able to as clearly articulate as I needed to exactly why we were right, and they needed to trust us. Because everyone just thinks that they're right. So you have to be so incredibly clear with your, I guess, processes, documentation, and proof by the time you want to raise that you're right. Otherwise, your head gets messed up by everyone else wanting to give you their advice, because people love doing that.
Yeah. That's very true. Yeah.
Anyway.
Understand. So I guess sort of coming back to the seed round, you didn't actually have any advisors, I guess. Is that right? Did you have any advisors helping you with your raise?
I would say I had some mentors helping me. Yes. But no, I didn't I had no idea what I was doing, and I was making it up as I went. And I'm still on the fence as to whether that was a good or a bad thing. But I think there's nothing quite like learning from just diving in and working it out. But you do, and you will make mistakes in the process of that. But this time around, you know, I am being more mindful. And my COO now is probably taking the lead on that, because she's just way more process oriented than me. I'm relationship, so I'm just like oh well. But we're at a point where relationship isn't enough. It was at the start. Now it's relationship and the process.
The relationship is still very important. Even you say it is a different set of relationships, though. It's no longer I guess high net worth individuals or something. It's more into the VC world. So it's different sets of relationships. And
that's when it's all about ticking boxes, and it is partially about relationships, but it's also about
well,
the numbers.
Without the relationship, it's hard to actually even go beyond to the ticking box stage.
Yeah, true.
You know, VCs see so many deals every day, and they need someone to actually bring it to their attention so that they see, oh, this is a deal that's worthy of my attention. Anyway, so you said that you sort of maybe made some mistakes during that seed round. Can you give us some examples of what the mistakes that you may have made so that others could learn from it?
Sure. I let people know that was happening, and it was confirmed before the money was in the bank.
The money, Yeah.
So that meant I had to deal with the fallout of that not actually happening. I mean, I actually asked, is this 100% genuine? Are we confirmed? Like, can I tell people? And I was still told yes. So I did actually check that. But I guess what I've learned is that a deal is not a deal until the deal is done.
Until the money has transferred.
Yeah.
I have seen quite a few deals that sort of went sour. Even after people transferred some money, they still reneged, you know, like after they put the money in.
I've heard people ask for money back and all different kind of bits and pieces.
Right. Yeah. And so that's money is not there until it's into your bank account. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much so. Anything else that you would have done differently?
What would I have done differently? I think I would have had, maybe it's good to have a good start and finish kind of idea around. I kind of walked into this without too much of a plan, and maybe it would have been better to have a plan. Just started some conversations and then just kind of went from there.
Yeah.
So it dragged on longer than probably what it should have, which meant the cost to me personally and the business was greater because it just went on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's avoidable. Like, that might not have been avoidable just because, like, I just was learning. So, I mean, I give myself so much grace for the last 3 years and how much time I've wasted doing various different bits and pieces, because I just see it as like, well, how would you know? Like, never done that before. Like, every day I wake up and I'm like, never done that before. Never done that before. Like, every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just have to be like, oh, what did we learn? Okay, let's not do that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just maybe having more of a plan. I'm good at gut and I'm good at execution. So sometimes I don't need plans because I'm not afraid to do the work and I see what the next right thing to do is and I just naturally do it. Some people need more structure to encourage them to take action. Like, I don't need that. I need structure to stop me taking as much action as I take, so that I focus the action that I'm taking.
Right. Yeah.
Into like.
Yeah. Understand.
The right things.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like, and I'm learning that about me. Like,
yeah.
the whole like where Parent TV has landed 3 years in is that we are all systems and processes right now. And I'm just like stepping back and I see clearer than I've ever seen in my whole entire life that that's what scales, not me.
Exactly.
But that work didn't get done in the first 2 years. But maybe that's not when that work gets done. Like, maybe the first 2 years is just crazy working it out, like, and finding that product market fit. And you can't actually build systems and processes for something that you don't understand yet. And the only way you understand what your business really is to actually jump in, start it, and then start listening to your customers.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Okay. So just also, like, you said it took a whole year to raise. Did you count how many people that you pitched to?
Yeah, not many. So this is me. I'm probably like a very unique person. I probably pitched to 5 or 6 people, and then probably like 4 of those were in that round. I'm all relationships and I'm all the long game. Like, if I like you, I go after you, and I don't let up until you literally say to me, Sam, please go away. Like, I literally want you to go away and stop emailing. Like, all of the people that I have in mind as I say this would be sitting beside me laughing, going, Sam is crazy and never leaves me alone. But you know what? They go, that's why we're going to give her money.
Yeah.
Because that's what it takes to relentlessly not, like, you never take no for an answer. Like, I don't take no the first time. Like, in fact, there's someone in my life where I'm like, I literally think he said no to me like 5 times. And I'm like, one day.
That's right. The 6th time would be
it's going to be a yes. And like, we have a great relationship. And I think he probably thinks the whole thing is as funny and ridiculous as I do. And I'm just like, but in the back of my mind, I'm just like, no, just does not mean no. Because you know what I've also learned? Yes doesn't mean yes.
Yeah.
So if yes doesn't mean yes, then no doesn't mean no. And so I just keep acting accordingly.
Until you get to what you want, right?
Yes. And, you know, the sign that someone is really a no you know, the sign that someone is really a no is that they stop engaging you. Like they stop responding, I guess.
Yeah.
But these people don't stop responding to me. So I'm like, until you literally just completely stop communicating, or it's like at that point I'm out. Like you can't have a relationship with someone who just literally like does not reply. So in that case, like you're out. But if they keep replying, even if it's a no, I'm like, well, you keep replying.
That's
so there's still a relationship here. So, but you know, I never pitched to 1,000 people or 503. Like I just was like, you and you. I like you, and I'm going to go after you, and I'll see what happens next.
Very good. Yeah, that's very, very much relationship based. Yeah,
it is very relationship based. I don't think that's going to be the case like moving forward. Like I think that was really an early days thing. Like, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I think even when people don't respond to you, you can still go back to them after a little while. That's my thing.
I'm always like, yay. Look at what you missed out on.
Yeah, we haven't.
Just imagine, look how much money we would have made you if you hadn't responded to me.
Exactly. And one of the investors I got for one of my clients is exactly that. He didn't respond to me after a few months, and then, you know, I just kept on going in different aspects, and and we ended up meeting face to face in Los Angeles, and actually 2 hours out of Los Angeles. I actually drove there to see him, and you know, and then there's just you just have to keep on at it, right, until you get it.
Oh yeah. This is where social media can actually be really useful, because when you connect to people, so I connect, like I'm a big user of LinkedIn. And when you're connected to someone, you know, there's a chance that they see your updates in their newsfeed. So you have to do updates too. But it's actually a way that you maintain that relationship, and you continuously share the story that they're following. So the next time you contact them, they may have seen like 15 updates you've done on LinkedIn and know exactly where your business is at, and read that and this, that, and the other. And you don't know. And they have a totally different idea about you and your business based on the last conversation, solely from being connected to you in social media. So I know I know that stuff's really powerful. And the amount of like, because I am a very heavy social media user, people like come up to me in places like, oh my gosh, Parent TV. I think, I don't even know you. Like, know all the stuff about me and Parent TV. Yeah. You feel like we're really good friends. And like, I'm just a nice person, so I'll be nice to you. And I'm like, wow, social media is really powerful.
Yeah, it is. It is very powerful. I hear you. I agree with you 100%. Yes. So what's next for Parent TV? What's your plan?
Yeah. So we are in like extreme planning phases right now. Employing a few new people. Really, we're mostly spending the time right now in like writing all our systems and processes. So our core team like just know the business so well. We're best set like mapping that all out for now. Yeah. So we're just doing the really, really boring work.
Yeah. But important and necessary.
But very important work. And pretty much just gearing us up like for scale. So once that's all set and like really there's just extreme clarity around who we are, where we're headed, how we're going to get there, who we need to get there, we'll do our Series A raise. And we will just present that to people. Here we are. This is where we're going. This is how we're going to get there. If you would like to join us, this is what that would look like. If you don't want to join us, that's fine too. We'll find people who do. But we know who we are and we know where we're going and we can prove it. We're just making sure we have all of the work done prior to stepping into that Series A raise. And then I'm hoping we'll raise some more capital and then build out our team. And we've got all the systems and processes ready to go. And then we'll just scale from there.
Right. And timing wise, is it next year or end of this year you're talking about?
Yeah, it'll be somewhere between the end of this year and the beginning of next year. So that's the timing of that.
Watch this space.
Really. Sorry?
Watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. Absolutely watch this space. The only thing that will get in the way of that is us continuing to make so much revenue that we actually don't need to raise.
Exactly. That would be the perfect position, isn't it? Like,
yeah. I mean, we've got enough runway and stuff at the moment, but really to make a big step up and scale, we probably do need some funding to just supercharge growth. Like, that is true. We do need that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will continue to grow. It'll just be steadier.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, looks like we're almost there. So thanks you very much, Sam, for your insights today. And I think you provided enormous value for our listeners. And thank you so much for listening, everyone. If you want to hear more about this and something else, please go to my website. As Sir Richard Branson said, learn to raise capital by any means necessary. Tune in again on the Capital Raising Show to hear another successful capital raising experience. Thank you again for listening.